let's see here. I'm going to turn that off. And okay, setting up your meeting for YouTube live. We're probably live already. That's one of those weird things that I've noticed, that it just puts me at, oh, here we are, already live. Beautiful. We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Midwest. My name is Jesse. I'm here with Marie Bowden, and we are just talking about cold training, breath work, all kinds of stuff. Marie, okay, so I met you. It was it at your advanced training in?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so that was back. What was that? 2018?
No, it was April of 2019. Would you believe it?
Seems like a
10 years
different
ago.
age. Back in the olden times, back before the days of COVID virus and all this other garbage that's going on. Yeah, I've got to say that was a lot of fun. I remember flying out. Actually, what you don't know though is that I went out to LA, and the first night I couldn't hook up with the rest of the senior instructors, so I stayed in like this. I'm talking like this nasty, uh, like just awful motel, like no-tell in like the worst part of Los Angeles. And like it was just like things banging on the floor, and like I didn't sleep the whole night. And then there is a certain degree of energy that just happens though whenever you show up. There's other Hoffers, there's other people. It's, I got to see some of my old friends again, and I hadn't seen them in a little while. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that was, now, had you been training pretty hard? Was that your first ice bath, or how did you come across? Actually, let's even go back further, because I think you've been in the fitness world for a little while, haven't you?
Right. So I was in the fitness field for probably since 2001, maybe, is kind of when
Yeah.
I started. Just within the first 5 or 10 years that certifications um
Yeah.
were created, because before that it was the wild west of um personal training, kind of like it is now, sort of like the wild west with breathing and cold exposure. But the
Yeah.
funny thing
Yeah.
was is that I knew that in that era, training with machines wasn't something that I was really interested in doing, although I just didn't have the experience to develop a practice that made more sense to me. So 10 years later, or
Yeah.
even longer, when OCR started coming along in the Spartan races, like I just went right into it because it was always something that I wanted. It just never showed up at the time that I was looking for it, if you know what I'm saying. Like I just couldn't find that community.
Well, it wasn't until just, yeah, it seems like a lot of things kind of exploded recently. But
Yeah.
up now, I'm thinking back in the 90s, and early 2000s. Yeah, you had, okay, you could go to the gym and lift weights. There was, yoga. Actually, of course, I'm in the Midwest, right? So um, yoga was kind of a new thing. And it was still something where it's like, most people looked at it as like just stretching, and so it was that class that you went to whenever you really didn't want to exercise, and then you're like, oh my god, I'm sore, that kind of thing. And then yeah, we had, of course, you might play sports, but yeah, when did OCR really take off? I don't even. That was like 2010 ish,
Yeah,
somewhere around
something
there.
along those lines. So 2017, I probably did my first race. I ended up doing four of them, I think, in the first year that I had really gotten into that. And then I worked at
Yeah.
a place called Pursuit OCR, which was an indoor obstacle course
Oh,
facility. So
cool.
understanding how the body worked, really, there was already a base there, if you know what I'm saying. And the
Yeah.
funny thing is about how I met you,
Yeah.
I was asking all the wrong people how to cold train effectively and efficiently. Maybe there's some listeners out there
There's
that
a Yeah, I think this is something, especially, I was talking to you before we went live, and a lot of people are just now getting into it, and it's something couple years ago. Was it a couple years ago? No, it was just a little over a year ago. The last year seems like about 20 years happened, you
Right.
know. But that's when I wrote my ebook about cold training. And the biggest reason is because there's so many questions, and you'll get the weird thing about cold training, just like a lot of things, right? Is that you get advice from every direction. And it's like going to the gym, asking the biggest dude there, hey, what should I do? Right. Which is what I did originally. That was like, yeah, go do preacher curls all day. We've talked about that. But like, but yeah, as far as cold training, we can get a lot of the bad advice. What kind of stuff did you do? Hey, Brandon, what's up, Rafael? How's it going, guys? Hey, Rafael just finished up a cold shower. Excellent timing indeed.
Nice.
Excellent timing. So yeah,
I
what were some mistakes that you made? And
well,
let's trade. I think we should trade stories.
okay, because here's what we could do today. We could talk about what happened up until the point that we met, because the whole
Okay.
thing was just
Yeah.
everything was ridiculous, especially on my end. Like how I became an instructor was so messed up in a beautiful way. Like it was perfect, but it was just really weird. And I don't talk about it much. It's a very personal story, and I think people might get something out of it that
Awesome.
if I'm sharing that. So I'm I'm in a bar. I'm with a bunch of people I know. It's a community where I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I walked up to a person who I know is very healthy, and I said, "So, like, do you cold shower? Because like,
You just.
what's that about? Like, I keep hearing about cold showers and ice baths and stuff." And then,
Yeah.
when the CrossFit games were happening, they would always show clips of like multiple people in this huge tub filled with ice for recovery. And so they said, "Sure, just get in the water, just get in a cold shower, just turn on
Yeah.
to
Just
cold, and put your arms in first, and then put
arms in
your
first. I
legs in
have heard a lot of that advice too.
yeah,
Yeah.
arms in first." And then they said, "And then just put your head in." And
Yeah.
always
Just.
just tell yourself, always just tell yourself that the cold can't hurt you.
That sounds. I've heard a lot of that advice.
We're talking probably to the same person in completely
Yeah.
different
Well,
bodies, different
that
countries.
advice exists so many places. Hey, Craig, what's up, Simple Jim? Yeah, we're talking cold training here. So yeah, the put your head in, all of those things. Yeah. I love it. Keep going.
We're
So
living the same life in different countries. So
yeah,
basically, now I'm in the shower and it's really cold. And of course, breathing doesn't even come into it because nobody
yeah,
said anything about breathing. And so, like, I put my face in, and then I just feel like I got the worst brain freeze of
oh yeah,
my life. Like it was really painful. And I just said kind of like, forget this. I'm never doing this again. Ever, never, never, ever, ever.
yeah,
What, how is this? Why are people doing this? This is ridiculous. And then another 2 years later, I asked someone else, like, hey, like, what's this thing about cold training? Like, I'm still really curious because I saw people on TV when I was a kid doing it. So I was really curious as to what was going on. I just didn't have the the focus to really pursue it. So
yeah.
so finally when I heard a talk, someone had talked who went to Poland with Wim.
Okay.
I can't say the name because they actually did a semi breath class and ice bath in this club where I was.
Oh wow,
Which
right there.
Yeah, and I didn't know what anything was. It was the first time I saw a clip of the Vice documentary. It's the
Okay.
first time I heard about anything that was structured. I didn't know anything about anything. We did a bunch of breathing, and I kind of got in. I didn't even bring a bathing suit.
Yeah.
We were on the floor of the club just breathing. It was in the daytime, and I stood in there, and that that alarm bell just didn't go off.
Really?
Yeah, because of the breathing. And so when
Oh right, right. Yeah.
I'm in the cold water, and I thought, how come I can stand here and I can feel that it's cold, but I actually don't care. And at that moment was that magic moment that I asked myself, if I can actually do this, what else could I do?
I love that question because that's something I can completely relate to. And it's like it felt impossible, right? Because I remember the first time I got into a cold shower. Now you live in Canada, and so your cold showers are probably always a little bit colder than mine.
Yeah.
But I got into a cold shower. It was February, um, and so let's see. I'm learning Fahrenheit. So this is like learning a new language a little
You're
bit. Okay.
so good at
I'm,
it.
I'm learning Celsius. I'm very good at Fahrenheit. I'm native. That's my native tongue. So let's see. Okay. So it's 32 minus. Okay. So it was about, let's see, it was about 4 degrees. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Okay. So it was about 4 degrees
Yeah.
Celsius, which is about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is incredibly cold for coming out of just coming out of the shower. And I got in there and hey, Mark Amatic, good to see you. I got in there and I actually it was whenever I did the Wim Hof, the old 10-week course.
Yeah.
And because I never even thought that cold exposure could be a thing, right? Um, and yes, Papa Geek, I'm getting better though. Okay, so he's teasing me a little bit about the conversion. I think I successfully converted Fahrenheit to Celsius just now. Okay, so
And
anyway.
yesterday when I listened to your recording yesterday about hypothermia, you totally nailed it.
I'm see,
Yeah.
I'm not a lost cause. I thought I was a lost cause. My wife, her whole family speaks Spanish, and I need to be immersed in it if I'm going to learn it. And I've really tried to immerse myself in Celsius. I'm starting to try to think, okay, it's 1 degrees. Or I love the fact that I can go negative a lot faster in Celsius. So it's more, to me, I'm like, yeah, man, it's not 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It's like negative. And actually, I have no idea how to, because the trick that I learned is you subtract 32 and then you divide by 2. And then you get sort of close. Anyway, the point is, getting back to my shower, I had no idea that cold could even be a thing, or breathing. I'd gotten into breathing with pranayama. I'd gotten into yoga, pranayama, some of those things. And hey, Stephen Forrester, how's it going, my friend? Got good crew here now. And Papa Geek's still teasing me. Anyway, okay. So, but I'd gotten into a little bit of I definitely tried meditation. I found out I was terrible at meditation, because all the thoughts entering in and out. Started doing some breath work, started researching it, found this crazy article that said, learn to control your immune system at will, followed that because I was like, this is ridiculous. I felt like I was going to probably read about, reptilian people and all the aliens that are among us, I figured it was the crazy stuff. And then it showed, okay, wow, there's science that's behind this. And so then, but that was before the Vice, that was before Rogan and all those things. So it really wasn't much out there, except for they had this 10-week course. So I eventually bought it and I did the breath work and I was like, cool. I'm just going to go into that cold shower. Well, for me, I didn't have the same luck that you had. I went in there and I felt amazing after this breath work, right? It was just incredible. Walked into the shower and I said, Wim Hof. It's like as I was turning the faucet, and it was such an impact on me. I had a real hard time with the cold. And even with the Wim Hof method, I had a hard time in the beginning. Then eventually I realized, okay, easing into it is probably going to be the best choice for me. And so I slowly got into it. But what you're reporting, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. It was, and I talked to Dr. Otto Muzik, who's done some of his research on Wim, some actually pretty recent research. And he was talking about how we produce all these endocannabinoids and all these things that kind of blunt our response and make us, it's almost like we overload our system with all of this, in a way, stress response, but it's just overload, and then we can tolerate it. So you were able to, now was I how so you first time you got into it, and then were you hooked, or how did it go from there?
When I saw the Vice documentary, and that's a great question, Jesse, after
Mhm.
that whole sort of like mini kind of event that really, like, for legal purposes should never have happened in a,
Right.
like,
That's
nobody signed waivers, nothing,
right,
right?
right.
And so thinking back, there's no way I would ever do that. But hey, that helped get me. It was just so random and it was so weird. And so then I saw the Vice documentary, and then I went on the website. I went on the Wim Hof Method website, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's a course, there's a structure. Wow, wow, wow.
Yes.
I really want to learn this now, to do it in a methodical, structured, safe way. And then when I started reading the science, based on my fitness background,
Oh yeah.
basically the only thing that came to my mind was, oh wow, this is for real. Like, this isn't.
It's that next level
This
stuff,
was
right?
just so the science was so compelling. I actually said to myself, I can't look away now.
I like that. Yeah.
Like, I can't not pursue this because I understand the physiological benefits and ramifications of doing it and not doing it. So I was compelled by the science, to be honest. And I
Mhm.
never thought that the breathing was going to be such a gateway drug. I never thought, and we're not kidding, everyone, getting high on your own supply, it's a thing. Like, it's a portal, it's a
Yeah.
gateway, it's a tool, it's a beautiful, beautiful way to connect back to self and then everything around you that kind of matters. I mean, that's really how the best way I can describe it. And so the talk was in November. Then
Mhm.
I kind of um October, November, I think. And then I took the 10-week course, and then I thought, wow, I wonder what being an instructor would be like. And then I've never really said this in public. I thought, yeah, but Wim's around. Like, who's gonna want to learn from me? There's like, he's there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then this little voice inside of me said, yeah, but there's like 7 billion people on the planet, and there's one of him. So maybe, what are the chances of maybe
Right.
a couple of people wanting to learn from, a person in Canada? And so that was the question that I asked that just opened that door. Then I took the 10-week course, and wow, like within 8 weeks, I was doing it for 5 minutes easily, a lot more easily. And then my first ice bath was in January, probably only 2 months before the advanced course. And I had a DMT release. I was like the first one into the ice bath. There was another beautiful person named Sam who just posted something 3 days ago about his journey, and he had never taken one, and he was pacing up and down the stairs, up and down, up and down. He's like, Marie, what do I do? I don't know what I should do. And I pulled him aside and I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to ask you a question. Whatever, it wasn't even a question, it was just a statement. I said, whatever decision that you make right now, I want you to wake up tomorrow morning and be okay with whatever decision that you make right now. I want you to wake up tomorrow and feel good about it. And he looked at
Yeah.
me, and he was just blown away. And then he did it.
Yes.
And I ran into him till October. I ran into him in October, and his life had changed. And that was the workshop that I took that determined whether or not I really wanted to make that big lifelong commitment, that for me, because this is my life. This isn't something that I kind of do for fun on the weekends. I soak up all this information.
Mhm.
So then I practiced, and I was really nervous because I wasn't sure if my practice was great. And then, because of some other life things that had happened before, I didn't have enough money to get plane fare. So I was working at this little restaurant that my friend owned, and I started eating all the at the end of the day food. And I stopped buying groceries for 3 months to get to the Masters in the summer.
Oh wow. some
That's how
sacrifice to get
that's how
there.
bad I wanted it. And so when I
Yeah.
went to meet you, that was I need to figure out whether or not I'm gonna really fully go all in. And then when I did,
Real quick. I'm
yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
I've got a quick message real quick here. Tanmay, what I want you to do is go ahead and get into a warm shower and slow your breathing down. Okay. Whenever we have an anxiety attack,
right.
it sounds like that's what she's having. What you want to do is get in a warm shower and relax the body in through the nose, out through the mouth. Try to make 5 counts on the inhale, 5 counts on the exhale. Of course, seek medical attention if that does not help you. Sorry for interrupting. Hopefully that helps you, Tanmay.
Yeah, and I also find when I'm super, super stressed, I
Yeah,
kind of take a look around and I say out loud, "Where am I? I'm here.
that's good.
I'm here
Yeah,
in my
anchor
apartment.
yourself.
I'm here in my apartment." And then I say, "Well, what am I doing?" I'm talking to Jesse Coomer.
Yeah, yeah.
And then my third question is, am I safe?
I like that. Yeah.
And the answer so far always has been yes. And to repeat it again, where am I? What am I doing? And
Hmm.
am I safe? And that really helps, any kind of fear, doubt, uncertainty that I'm going through at any moment so far, regardless how big that feeling is. That's helped me a lot.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And we hope you feel better, Tanmay. Sorry for interrupting. This is one of those things that I love the live, and hey, if we could help somebody, that's awesome. And sometimes we have to remember, okay, where did we leave off? But yeah, when it comes to anxiety attacks, oftentimes these are actually triggered by over breathing as well. So a lot of
Right.
times we will start mouth breathing and we won't even realize that we're throwing ourselves into that sympathetic dominant state, that state of fight or flight. Next thing you know, you do notice, which freaks you out even more, right? And then it's the spiral effect. And actually, in my book, I talk about this in a little. Of course, I've always got to make sure it's anecdotally perfectly, just kind of like a little funny thing. So it's called The Story of Breathin' Steven.
Mm.
So I'm like, if it rhymes, it's got to be awesome, right? If it rhymes, it needs to be in my book. And but basically, that's what happens a lot of times. That throws a person into those types of panic attacks. So we hope you feel better soon, Tanmay. So slow the breathing down, get yourself warm, anchor yourself. Remember that you are safe. So anyway, back to
That was beautiful though. Thanks. I love addressing these things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and we want to help everybody. So thanks for letting us know, Tanmay. We hope you're feeling better and check in with us if you can. So
Always. Yeah. So back to the workshop. The workshop
yeah,
in January was the first time I'd ever done an ice bath, and that was amazing. And that really helped galvanize my idea of what I was doing. And then when I went and met you in LA, it just really helped me put more pieces together. It helped me see that what I was doing on my own at home by myself, really, because I don't even know if I was part of the Facebook group at that point. I think that came way later
really
for
okay.
better or for worse, like whatever it is, right? I mean,
Yeah,
some people it's a lifeline, for other people it's a source of migraines. Like it's just different for everybody.
yeah.
Um, but I didn't spend, and I don't even know if they had the Q&A section on the website and all that. So I was really me in my place practicing. And then when I met you, I was the the whole time, there, I didn't even have a car to get up to that place.
Oh wow.
And it was in the mountains.
Yes.
So I had a
So
friend that drove me there both days, but I had no way of getting back. And I ended up finding some fellow uh
some trainees as well.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
ended up driving me back down the mountain because if you walk down, it's like Cougar City. You're never gonna make it out alive, especially
Oh
at
yeah.
night.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, yeah, this place, what was it? Grand Canyon or is
Mulholland was right around there.
Mulholland was close. It was near
Yeah.
Beverly Hills. And you know, it was but really windy road,
Wilderness,
like there's all kinds of craters in the road. It was
big
actually kind of treacherous getting there.
animals. There was like the nature was crazy.
It
It
was
was
awesome nature,
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when we went there, we did this nature walk, And Wim just he took pictures of like every little animal, and there were tons of animals. So we stopped a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Turtles and
But
hawks and
the
ducks.
turtles, yeah, the turtles were crazy there.
So that
But
was
yeah, so
my journey to the moment of meeting you, and you were so friendly. You were just so smiley and friendly, and it was a beautiful weekend. I met people there that lived in Toronto that I didn't even know, so it was
that's
cool.
right. There were quite a few Canadians there, as I
Yeah,
recall.
yeah, there was. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so whenever when you got there, you had actually gone through some quite a bit of personal sacrifice to get there. And um and that's something, that's something that whenever you have to sacrifice for something, it means a lot more. And I remember I was really afraid whenever I decided to get into this, because for me, Wim Hof Method was the gateway. I wasn't already into, I was into fitness. I worked out, um, but you know, I'd never gotten a certification in anything. I had never,
Mm.
I most of the time, like most of my life up to that point was spent doing the opposite of what a person should do with their health and their well-being. And you've read my book. I ran away from every kind of discomfort, using drugs and alcohol, and mostly drugs, and then and just being lazy. I was addicted to everything that was just lazy or indulgent. And so I kind of had a life change around, I think I was like 20. It was about 28 whenever I had to really make some major changes. And I started exercising legitimately when I was um, about 30 years old. And my wife always kids me about this, because I would go to the gym for about 15 minutes, come back and be like, woo, I got a good workout today. And I honestly felt as though I was dead serious. I was like, yeah, man, this is gonna be some great gains, And and it wasn't until I started to really try to address my anxiety head on, because I sometimes talk about, and not too long ago it just kind of fell out of my mouth what the anxiety really felt like. And it's whenever like you're in a room and it's just there's a bad smell, but you've kind of adapted to it and you don't notice,
Right.
or is it maybe it's my breath or what, I don't notice how bad my breath is. But I went through life with that constantly there. And then once I started to get in. I started meditation, even though I wasn't good at it. I noticed a change, and so I kept on trying to address it. And when I went out there, it was a huge kind of a risk, because it was this first time that he was going to have anybody be an instructor, and it's not cheap. And here I am, this Midwestern guy, going out to Los Angeles. And it was just this, it was a big leap of faith. And then I got out there, and um, here's something I've never told anybody. So I had this weird bout of like stomach flu on the plane ride to Los Angeles. So imagine the worst place to have the stomach flu. It is a plane ride to Los Angeles. And so and so I was feeling like, just I wasn't feeling very good. But the next morning I was like, I gotta go. I came all the way here and I felt amazing. We did the breathing, we did the DMT
Yeah.
breathing, we did the ice baths, we did all this stuff. I always dreamed before ever coming out there, I was like, I want Wim, I want Wim to be like looking at me kind of in a judgy, coachy way while I'm in an ice bath. I want to feel Wim Hof's gaze on me in an ice bath and see what that feels like. And so I got that. There's even a picture of Wim just kind of, he's looking down, and here I am right there. And I'm like, yeah, that's the picture I always wanted. Hey,
Lou,
Tan May's feeling better. Thank you for letting us know, Tan May. Uh, Much love to you. And Just keep that breath, stay relaxed. We're glad you let us know, and we're glad you're feeling better. But yeah, I felt like at that time, my family was like, okay, Jesse, you're joining a cult, right? This is kind of a cult. I think, no, it's not. And so I kind of had to prove. My wife was super supportive. She was like, no, go. This is the best thing that's ever happened to you. But, a lot of people just didn't understand. And so, there's always those risks that we take. And sometimes, man, it's just the best thing ever. After that, it opened me up to all sorts of different kinds of breath work, that was like, okay, I started to kind of understand what the relationship between breath and our psychology, our physiology, what that is. And it's like, whoa, there's this whole language we can speak with ourselves. And it's not the same as like so much of what I used to think was like, I have to somehow like speak in like, say, you will be healthy, like some kind of a positive affirmation, which I'm not against affirmations, but literally we can speak a language, and it's just through breathing. It's like, it's almost as hard as learning Celsius if you're a Fahrenheit guy, but it's much easier, I should say. That Celsius stuff is just, I'm just saying, I don't know how you guys do it,
I try not to. I
Yeah.
actually try to learn in Fahrenheit because that's what all my gear here, thermometers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the thermometer and the thermostat in my apartment is generally set to Fahrenheit because you can kind of do both. But yeah, I mean, because I grew up watching Sesame Street, it was American, so I say Z, and I
Instead of
learned,
Zed.
yeah,
Okay.
because I learned the American alphabet.
the, it's the same alphabet, but for some reason, the Z's and the Z's, and then you guys, we took all the U's out of everything.
Right.
It's
Right.
like color. No,
Color.
it's not going to be color. No, we're going to say color. Hey, we've got a question. So Christelson 11 says, not sure if you're open to chatting about user topics. Hey, that's what we're here doing. We're just having fun today. He says, let's see, Chris Christelson. I'm sorry. I'm an English professor, and so the first day of class, I pronounce everyone's name incorrectly, just so they know what they're getting into. First day of class. Actually, just a side note. One time, I mispronounced this girl's name. Her last name was Bonner. I
Nice.
mispronounced that. Yeah. She had a good sense of humor, which I appreciate. So we got, not sure if you're open to chatting about user topics, but I'm curious on the studied or anecdotal differences between cold showers versus ice bath. From Toronto, so a fellow Toronto Ian, I don't know if that's a thing, but where my shower is 48 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
See?
Okay. So on the border, it's just kind of like, it's kind of like living on the border of maybe the United States and Mexico. It's really helpful to be bilingual in this. I'm in the middle, so we're just really kind of insulated, but with friends from all over, I gotta learn that Celsius. Anyway, so we're talking 48 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And what's the difference between an ice bath and a cold shower? Let's see. So, okay. And Chris is still here. So let's talk about this. So let's just kind of, first of all, they feel differently, right?
Yes.
You're going to have, definitely, it's going to feel different. You were talking about the first ice bath. Now, did you take a lot of cold showers before you tried your ice bath for the first time, or how did all that work? That first time, whenever you did Wim Hof Method style breath work, you got into it was an ice bath, right?
Yeah, that the workshop that we did that February before I went to meet you in April, May, or March, I guess. Yeah, I had practiced. I got the 10-week course, and I practiced for about a year after that. I had a very bizarre life event which really interrupted my housing, my living arrangements. And even through all of that, regardless what was going on, whether I had a place of my own or not, I was still practicing through the cold water, which obviously helped. But You know, the first ice bath I did, I had breathed and prepped so much that I felt nothing except my hands. It was so weird. And then when we went down to North Cascades for the Masters, and even the ones that we did with you, I mean,
Mhm.
it's different every time. The ones that
Yeah.
we did in for the Masters in September that year, they kept putting so much ice in it that I just felt like I was just being stabbed 1,000 times with a whole bunch of like icy knives. It was horrible. It was horrible. And then
That was Brandon and Trish.
Brandon leans over. He's like, smile. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. I'm having the worst. This is so intense that all I wanted to do was just like kind of punch him a little bit
Yeah,
because I was just,
that sounds like Brandon. That's that's the
what I
Brandon
didn't
I
know is
trained
they
with.
kept
Yeah.
taking pictures of everybody the whole time. So that's why he was trying to get me to smile, but everyone else was smiling. So it's going to be different every time. And really
Yeah.
the more I want to do it,
Yeah.
and the more open and excited and calm and curious I am about feeling that experience instead
Yeah.
of mastering or owning the experience or conquering the experience, which doesn't work for me. That's not how I teach and that's not how I approach it.
Right.
I want to make friends with this element. I want
Yeah,
to
I
get
love that. Yeah, making friends with it.
yeah.
It's not like, because yeah, and I'm sure you've seen this in your workshops and even other times when I'm just doing cold training, right? Maybe I'm not doing Wim Hof Method. I'm out with some people,
Yeah.
just some bros out there on the lake, or something like that. We're just going to go take a cold dip or something. It is always the people who try to muscle it, right? Who try to outflex the cold that get humbled the most. And I've been that guy
Yeah.
before. It's one of those things. I love that you make friends with it. Decide. I always say you decide to love it. You have to, like, and the difference between a cold shower and an ice bath, as far as the feeling of it, one of the big differences is with the ice bath. If you're taking a proper ice bath, it's 100% of your body. Well, maybe let's say 95%. You keep your head above, right? You still got to breathe, but it's a full body submersion all at once. Now the cold shower, you got to do the cold shower dance. You're doing all this, and you're like, oh, I'm sort of getting my legs, but kind of that water kind of warms up a little bit by the time it gets to my leg. So maybe I should do my leg over here, and then but at the same time, the cold shower, you don't develop that little tiny layer of warmth
Right.
either. So they can both be great challenges. I was telling Marie, the reason why it's kind of dark behind me is because today it snowed in Indiana. And so this is how the problem is. I found out. So this morning I get up, I take a cold shower, and the water's nice and cold here now. So it's super cold. We're talking about 45 Fahrenheit, which is what, maybe 5 Celsius. That is a guess. That's just me throwing a number out there.
Really, really cold water.
That's
Wow.
that's cold coming out of the shower. And I'm like, you know what? Today I'm gonna go ahead. I'll do a 10-minute. That'll be my cold exposure for the day. Cool. Well, then my little boy, as I get out of the shower, hey daddy, it snowed last night. I'm like, oh, and exactly. I'm like, it's on now. So then I go outside. I'm like, okay, I haven't done snow walking in a long time. I'm going to do some snow walking. And then I was like, oh, I should do some YouTube videos. And then I was like, let's see, I got to roll around in this a little bit. Now I got to, and so I spent I overextended a little bit. I didn't have any after drop or anything like that. But, it's definitely, I did a lot more cold today than would be a normal day. So maybe tomorrow I might not, go quite as hard. But when it comes to cold showers and ice bathing, you're getting similar benefits. So, but the thing about a cold shower is that you can't really add any ice. Like Marie was talking about, our mutual friend Brandon,
whenever you can add so much ice to an ice bath that you're getting it down to pretty much 1 degree Celsius.
Yeah.
You know, so right around 33, 35 Fahrenheit. And that's cold.
Yeah.
That's cold. And you're going to be melting some of that ice around you. And yesterday I had the honor of talking to Joseph Kobler is how I pronounce his last name. I can't, my mouth doesn't, I'm a Midwestern mouth, right? And so I can't make the thing happen with my mouth. But he's the guy who has the current world record for the longest submersion in an ice to skin, 2.5 hours ice to skin. And he was even talking about, okay, it's so much easier with just the ice, but when the ice starts to melt and it's that liquid and it's that super, super cold liquid, that's when it gets really challenging. And that's something that happens to you whenever you're in that ice bath. Now, the average ice bath is going to be, it'll vary. Like athletes, a lot of athletes will take an ice bath. Like a lot of those athletes, the OCR guys, nowadays they probably take colder ones, but early athletes, we're talking about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I think, 15 Celsius. So they're not quite as cold as the stuff that Marie was being subjected to. The colder you get, the more intense. And now in my ebook, I give some of the science where they showed that the same duration and the same cold, if you do, let's suppose you do a cold shower every single day for 5 minutes, and it is, let's say 5 degrees Celsius, maybe 10 degrees Celsius. We'll say 10 degrees Celsius every single day. According to some of the research that has been done, you'll get the same norepinephrine spike in your brain. And that norepinephrine, that's the anti-inflammatory. That's the thing that, you know, gives us a lot of good stuff. Good stuff happens. It helps us learn more, makes us more alert. But variation is a great. I don't know. I think I've beaten that one into the ground. That was a good question. Thank you, Chris. And maybe I didn't even really answer. Maybe we didn't even really answer it the way you wanted it to. Let me know. Feel free to go to jessecoomer.com, email me, and we'll talk about it some other time. We got some other questions here too.
By the way, if anyone needs any bad dating advice, just hit me up, send me a message. We want to know. We'll answer it right here, right now.
You know, I don't know if you've had this happen yet, but I have actually had at least one couple meet and fall in love and get married at a Wim Hof Method workshop.
Wow.
And
I had 2 people dating in one of mine, but it didn't work out.
Most of the time it doesn't work. Most of the time it doesn't. It's just not going to work out anyway. Right? I remember actually when right after I got married, a friend of mine, he was a huge martial artist, MMA guy. So I always felt very comfortable going to dive bars with him. And we had this, it was almost like a sick desire to try to go to the worst dive bar and get stabbed.
Yeah, I do that with my brother. Like every time I go out with him, he used to live in Bremerton near Seattle. And some of the armpits that we used to go visit, he said his wife would never go. So we would do it together for sure.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. So we got to this bar and I had just gotten married. So my friend was like, okay, you know, I'll buy you a beer. He just got married, you know, and everybody turned there and they're like, and literally, I'm not kidding you. People, these all total strangers. They all looked at me and they're like, it's not going to last. Everyone's like, oh, it's definitely not going to last. Yeah. I was like, I don't even know you guys. And here we are trying to celebrate this thing. Yes, we are in the diviest dive bar I've ever been in, but okay. Thanks for the well wishes.
Horrible attitudes.
Yeah. And so far we've been proving them wrong. We're up on, actually in 2 days, it'll be the 10-year anniversary of our first date, which I was technically 29 on that date. The very next day I turned 30, but I was a 20 something when we went on that date. And I didn't tell her that the next day was my birthday because I was like, she was younger than me. And I was like, maybe it'd weird her out. She knew I was, 30. And then we were like Facebook friends. So she found out the very next day. She's like, why didn't you mention that? I was like, yeah. Now it's just even more weird, isn't it? I've just made it worse by not saying anything. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
you're not,
Yeah.
you're hiding things already.
Yeah. Day one, I'm already, that's actually, oh geez. Yeah. It's a surprise that she stuck with me. So but anyway.
In your face, all you dive bar attendees.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You should have drank to
in your single faces.
Maybe it was one of those like reverse hex type of things where, you say break a leg and then you mean good luck.
Just projecting. They're all projecting. They're all sad, unhappy dive bar people. I'm one of them, but not that.
Well, all right. Another question from Portia Snyder. Does it help to make your asthma better with the cold showers and breathing exercises? And hey, another Canadian. I think, right? It says Canada, CA. So I'm not sure if, okay. So that's Canada, I think. This is one of those where results may vary, at least in my experience, right? I actually had terrible allergies before I got into breath work and cold exposure. And I have found that specifically cold exposure is what helps me. And I know this because there've been times that, especially during like when the pandemic first hit, I just stopped. I didn't really cold train as much as I should and normally did. And my sinuses and all the just all the allergies that all started coming back. And it wasn't until I got back into cold training that it went back away. So what do you think as far as, have you had any experience with this asthma and cold showers and breathing?
Really briefly, anything that you layer on top of good sleep, hydration, good food, and moving your body will help you. If you don't have
those are the fundamentals, right?
Yeah. If you don't have that set up, it's really difficult to say whether or not this practice is going to help you if you have the other stuff that's just not there. So there's one thing I would say, everyone, if you're really interested in changing your health, even 1%, look at what you're thinking. Are you thinking in a positive or negative way? And if you're not happy with your thoughts inside your own head and your own body, if you're not happy in your own skin, look at your sleep patterns for sure. Start there. That's the easiest thing you can change. Drink some filtered water. If you don't drink water, you become the filter.
I love that. I use that all the time now. Marie was where I heard this first, and I love that. And I drink filtered water. I've been, I think sleep is probably, it really is, well, sleep and water, just these basic things. I think a lot of times we're all looking for that secret hack, right?
One trick.
One simple trick, But what happens is we forget sometimes these fundamentals that make everything else happen.
Sleep's the one trick, actually. There is no one trick, everyone. Anytime that you see one simple trick, just don't even click on it, because it's not even real. So I know for a lot of people that anytime that you end up up-regulating certain responses, down-regulating other ones, rebalancing, you're going to have a whole body response. Think of your body as a unit. Even though you might have pain or discomfort showing up in one place in your body, it's very likely that it originates from another location.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at your system, look at it as a whole, so that you can treat it as a whole, because it will start to take what it needs and push it to the places in your body that it wants to heal first, second, and third. I know that's kind of sounds weird, but as science develops and changes, when we start to look at your system as one unit, then we don't keep looking at the one part of your body that's not working and ignoring the rest. So, for my example, short answer is yes. Short answer is yes,
Right.
with the right setup. So if you have a good setup, chances are you'll layer on top of all those other things that will allow for that to happen. In my opinion, healing is healing is a complete process, and illness is an incomplete attempt to heal.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Guys, I hate to close it up, but we've been chilling here for about an hour, and we will be together again doing other lives. I appreciate you guys all being here. Marie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. It's always fun to talk to you, and it's always fun catching up. So we'll be doing another one of these very soon, I'm sure. I will insist upon it. So guys, thanks so much for being here. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to go out there